How's it going, everyone? Crow Shadow here, and in today's video we will be reviewing the Maple Airsoft Supplies high-speed replacement spring. I've been wanting to do this for a while now. I just never had the time because I have a few magazines that need a little bit of more oomph to it when it comes to their spring. So we'll be looking at these. These are distributed by Amped Airsoft, as well as Maple Airsoft Supply has their own website. So let's see what they have in store for us. So now that we're here in the actual testing, we're going to be using the KWA Ronin 47 Max. One of them is going to be the actual Kaiju 47, and the other one's going to be from a regular Ronin 47. They're pretty much the same. The only difference is that the Kaiju has a Cerakote cover on it. And then the third mag that we're using is actually the one that holds the Maple Airsoft Supply spring. Right? So the reason I'm using this is because I noticed that these springs on the actual Ronin 47s aren't that great, to be exact. So unfortunately, yeah, even though I like shilling on KWA, to be honest, their magazines aren't the best, and they should probably something they should work on when it comes to their products and what they make, especially if the magazines are going to be proprietary. So with that, let us look. So I chose two magazines. Both of these are from different batches. These are from the actual 3-pack, and then of course the Kaiju 47s, and this is from one of the other batches, but that doesn't matter because what we're testing here is the actual spring performance itself. So let us go into the actual testing. Okay, so for the first test, what we're going to be doing is actually I'm going to be throwing in the BBs in here, and all we're going to see is just the spring tension itself. Just how well does it push out the BBs. It shouldn't be that much of an issue. There's really not that much great of a testing, but at least with this you'll know how well it performs inside this type of magazine, as well as it does very well. So for this we're going to use first the original Ronin 47 magazine with its original stock spring. Let me turn on some light so that way you can see a little bit better. Yep, and as you can see, not that great, not the best thing. So okay, we're gonna test the actual Ronin 47 mag. Like I said, I don't see any difference in it. The only difference in this magazine is the actual Cerakote, but we'll see. Yep. There we go. Actually, what I noticed it was the actual performance of this was actually a lot worse than what I expected. Now, one thing I do want to say, I've only been using these mags for 3 months, and out of those 3 months, I've probably used the Kaiju 47 for about a good 5 times, and that's pretty much it. I haven't used it a lot because I have a lot of other project rifles that I've been working on, but yeah, so this actual spring should still be good in means of at least sturdiness and compression of it. So let us test now the amp spring from Maple Airsoft Supply. So okay, here is the spring from Maple Airsoft Supply. I got these in Amped Airsoft. You can also get them in their actual website from Maple Airsoft Supply if you Google that, or the link will be down below in case you're actually interested in purchasing them. But let us do the actual test and we'll see how well they do. And there you go. That was pretty quick. As you see, that shot out the actual BBs pretty darn quick. I was actually surprised when I actually first tested this. I haven't actually tested the actual magazine itself on the rifle, but we'll be doing that up next. I will say one thing from the actual spring and the installation of it is that it is slightly difficult to actually install the spring, and it's mainly because since it's a much longer spring and with a much higher tension, right, and a little bit more thickness to it, it is very difficult to try to retain the tension as you're trying to push in the rest of the mag. And in some magazines, depending upon the body of it and how well it's constructed, uh, it might break the actual body or the inside where the spring stays into because of the high tension, right? These magazines, the 47s, are of course made in a AK style, which are a lot longer than the actual M4 style, which I have one here. I have a M120 if I'm correct, or the MS120. And looking at the length itself, it's a lot longer, which means that there's a lot more spread, right, for the spring to be in there compared to the actual MS120s or the K120s, which are slightly smaller, and it could present a little bit of an issue in means of how well the the spring holds inside of it. It could lead to the point where your actually might crack the body if it can't withstand. But I'm pretty sure, at least when it comes to KW, at least they can do that to where the integrity or the body of the actual magazine should be good. But now, you might ask yourself, right? Is there any gripes about the actual amped spring? Yes, you do lose a little bit of capacity on the magazines. Obviously, I'm not able to fully place 120 BBs as it shows, or as the actual specs of the actual magazine. You lose a little bit of space. I'd say I was able to put 100 BBs inside of it, so you lose about 20. You lose about 10% of the actual capacity of it, if I'm correct. But honestly, compared that to actually trying to have a more reliable magazine where you won't have issues in means of feeding, I'd rather choose 20 BBs and actually be able to shoot the full mag than to have to change out at the very end because the spring is not strong enough. So yeah. Okay, guys, so now that we've done our test just to see how much tension it pushes out, now whether or not does the actual spring work in the actual gun itself that it's made of, that it's made for, I mean. So we are testing it in the Kaiju 47. That is mainly because, like I said, I've been having a lot of problems with these magazines. So we decided to do it with this one. So let's see how it does. We are going to do a actual semi, and then after we do semi, I will do semi with a fast trigger because I have the actual Kaiju 47 does come with a speed trigger, and I tuned it down to as close as I could to where it's to my taste. And then from there, we're going to do full auto to see if there's any misfeeds or if it's too much pressure to where the actual gun can't cycle correctly, right? Now, this doesn't mean that it might not happen with other guns, but we're just testing it with this. So with that being said, let's start a test. Okay, testing in semi with the amp Airsoft Maple Airsoft supply spring. Okay, now we are testing rapid fire with the on semi. So that was rapid fire on semi. Now we are testing in a full auto with a full magazine. That was full auto with a full magazine, no hiccups at all. I will tell you, I like this. So there you have it, guys. That was the amp spring from Maple Airsoft Supply. It did pretty well, actually. It does feed very good, fast enough to where the actual Kaiju 47 had no issue shooting. Usually you don't see this kind of performance in normal small magazines because they're not strong enough to feed quick enough, or they feed too much BBs because they're too strong. And that being said, I would say that upgrading your magazines that have an issue with the spring or the springs are too weak because they already lost tension, I would say getting these springs is actually pretty good, and I'm actually gonna have the product itself down in the description below. I am not sponsored by them, so just so you know, for legal purposes. But yeah, there's not much to say about this. It's pretty bare bones and straight to the point. Maple airsoft springs are the thing to go for if you don't want to spend so much money on new magazines, especially if they're proprietary magazines like this one. With that being said, guys, let me know what you think on the comments down below, whether or not you are going to be getting these springs. And also, don't forget to follow my social medias, Instagram, subscribe here on YouTube, just so you know what I'm doing. But other than that, this has been Crow Shadow, guys. Till next time.